This is my review of Cells at Work Code Black. Okay, so this episode is actually probably one of the bigger cliffhangers that this series has had so far because, well, basically, long story short, as I said at the end of last review, the buddy has a heart attack. That's it. Long story short, the buddy just has a heart attack. There's nothing else I can say about that. That's what the episode builds to, and that's how it ends. So it starts off with AA2153 returning to work, and two of the older blood cells, the one we know and another guy, they're going to check in, doing the check-in and do their timestamp punch-in at the heart, which is where all the blood gathers. It's what keeps your body alive, and naturally, that's where the red blood cells come to check in. So after having a bit of a back and forth about whether or not the upper management actually sees all of their punch-ins, they then proceed to talk about how 2153 hasn't been to work in a long time, and the older red blood cell merely remarks that yeah, because he's definitely not surprised because of what happened, and is surprised if he'll ever come back to work again. But points out that he had a lot of promises and is a little bit sad that he isn't going to be working anymore and probably just kind of ditched the environment. Unfortunately, fortunately enough, he winds up eating those words because right at that exact moment, 2153 actually shows up to work, and the first thing he does is whip off his hat and get into a deep bow and apologize. Which the older red blood cell merely responds to by tousling his hair and pointing out that he's just glad to have it back. At which point he points out that she actually needs to go back and train and continue training the other red blood cell, the rookie one that they've been training. And right on cue, the rookie blood cell shows up and remarks that he still has a lot of things he needs to learn, and he's hoping that 2153 will continue to teach him. So they proceed to do exactly that with 2153 and the new rookie blood cell going through the body. And as they're going through the body, they notice a giant construction scene with all the platelets and thank them for their hard work. But as they're about to leave that area, another red blood cell isn't so enthused by the fact that there's construction work going on and even yells at one of the platelets. At which point, the lead platelet comes along and they start going at it with the lead platelet pointing out that he should really focus on just delivering his oxygen more efficiently and not telling people how to do his job, and specifically points out how much plaque there is and how it's their responsibility to repair any damage done by plaque because apparently plaque just kind of causes arteries to just break down, and if you don't take care of yourself, that's how heart attacks happen. So, in any case, yeah. After realizing that everything is stressful, and 2153 even remarking that it's not really, neither of them are really wrong. They decide to go back to the stomach because that's where they need to go. Although 2153 is less than enthused because of what happened at the stomach, but he decides to go back there anyway. And even while he's there, he pushes through his trauma of losing his friend there and decides to push on despite knowing full well that this is where it happened and this is where a traumatic event happened. So he needs to get. So yeah, that's actually a very good show of character. The fact that he's went back to the site where his friend died and was able to just continue to push on. At which point they run into Gastric Chief's cell, at which point the rookie red blood cell, whose designation is apparently NC 8765, he introduces NC 8765 actually introduces himself to Gastric Chief's cell because of the video, and 2153 is too late to actually stop him, they just kind of go on their merry way and continue delivering oxygen. Apologizing to NC 8765 about what happened, and then reiterates the point that the video that they were shown is horribly outdated and that they really need to talk to upper management to make a new one. However, as they're about to leave and go deliver the oxygen, Gastric Chief's cell actually acknowledges 2153 by name, and also points out that he's glad to see that he's still working despite what happened. So, in long story short, Gastric Chief Cell does remember people's names, and And even though he's very in the moment type of guy and really doesn't waste a second because of how stressful his job is, he does recognize 2153's hard work and even says that he's glad to see him working despite what happened. At which point 2153 is kind of moved to tears because he knows that remembering names is hard for Gashik Chief Cell, and the fact that he not only did that but also was willing to kind of greet him like an old friend, it moves 2153, and he's merely happy that he's finally starting to sell into his role, and then the rest. During this episode, he proceeds to go through the rest of the body to deliver his oxygen and continues to go through the body. And it showcases all the different people he's met up to this point of him delivering oxygen, going through his routine, and as they go through this, he remarks that they still hasn't come full circle yet to actually become the red blood cell he wants to be, but that he's happy to continue to do it because it means he can finally continue his job, and that he can actually continue working on his second chance to actually help save the body and help protect the people that lost their lives trying to keep the body safe. So with that, he's more than happy to do it. And also the white blood cells have also been working to make up for the whole gout incident the other day, because they're basically, long story short, they're just trying to clean up their reputation by taking care of some germs and making up for what happened. Because it's not entirely their fault. It was kind of a mistake on the T cell division's part. At least that's what I'm calling them. I don't actually know their names, and I don't think the anime ever gives them a name. So, but in any case, they're trying to clean up their reputation as well as the body to try and keep it safe. And 2153 then meets up with NC-8765, and they continue onward to the heart, where they notice that plaque is starting to build up a lot more, and that in some parts of the coronary artery, they actually have to go by foot. And 2153 points out that if it gets much worse, then they probably won't be able to move through the body anymore and get to the heart. But points out that they probably shouldn't think about that too much and continue on their merry way. At which point, they finally find the blood clot that was foreshadowed at the end of last episode, and how is just a very big one. It's almost shut off complete blood flow to the heart, but the playlists are trying to clean it up, and when NC-8765 actually gets closer to investigate, the head platelet snaps at him, pointing out that if he's not careful, he could wind up exactly like them. So he's quickly realizing how harsh the body actually is in a short period of time. So, yeah, but I mean, the body's improved somewhat, but not really. But in any case, with that, they continue to deliver their oxygen through the small part of the coronary artery that's still open. But as they're going through, the ceiling actually collapses again in the coronary artery and completely blocks up blood flow. With NC-8765 and AA-2153 just barely getting out of the scrap and barely getting out of it. Although they realize that now, because the coronary artery has been blocked, it could restrict blood flow. And realizing that they have no real choice, they decide. 2153 decides they're going to gather up as much oxygen as they can from the red blood cells that were gathered in the accident, and decide to just continue delivering their oxygen and try to keep the heart online, because they realize that people can't actually get to the heart anymore, and they realize that that's going to be a problem. So they quickly go to the heart, and quickly discover that it's slowly running out of oxygen, and there's no real way to actually replace that much oxygen. So at which point, we actually see a council of dudes. I'm not entirely sure what they do, but they remark that the time is starting to come, and that it's probably finally time for them to perform their final task. Meanwhile, the brain cell, I'm going to call him. I've continued to call him because I don't know his name, and the anime again doesn't give him a name, but we're just calling him the commander. So the commander realizes that the body is starting to been building to a heart attack for a while, and even points this out, pointing out that heart attacks are caused when the blood flow stops going to the heart, and even points out that there's a possibility that they may not be able to solve this. And sure enough, case in point, the council, as we'll call him, which are basically the presidents of the body, as we're going to call them, and the company of that exists in the world of Cells of Work, and Cells of Work Goes Black. They come online and tell everybody that they've appreciated all their hard work up until now, but that they no longer have to work anymore. At which point they begin to explain what's happening. So they explain that thanks to all the continued hard work from all the different cells that have existed in the body, that they have actually been able to deal with all the threats that have been present up until this point. But that this is the final straw, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back, because now the body has entered a heart attack, and there's nothing they can do about it. They can't fix this. And it's not like they withheld the, and people understandably get very upset at them because they feel like they've been betrayed and that they no longer are able to get the information from them. But the group merely remarks that they haven't been withholding this information from them and that they've been doing everything behind the scenes, but remark that it clearly wasn't enough, and then formally apologize on camera to everybody. At which point the feed cuts out and the body's functions begin to shut down. So, starting first and foremost with the heart, at which point 2153 realizes that he needs to find oxygen to keep the body flowing, even though as he points out, as everybody else is quick to point out, there's no real oxygen to be found, and he's kind of wasting his effort, but he decides to go anyway because he needs to keep the body alive so that it doesn't die. Pointing out to himself that it's unfair for the body to just suddenly shut down after being asked to work so hard to protect it. Unfortunately, he's on borrowed time in a losing battle because one by one, every single light in the body that makes up the corridors of the body and all that, they begin to shut down, and one by one, all the body's functions begin to shut down as well. So, yeah, there's no real way to actually come back from this. The body is starting to shut down, and the way they show this is that all the lights in the body just going dark and just turning off. Everything from the civilian sections of the body to the working organs of the body. Everything goes to a complete stop, and sure enough, that's just how it ends, with everything going completely black and completely dark. So yeah, but unfortunately there is one more episode in the season. There is one more episode to see how this cliffhanger is going to end. But yeah, that's a hell of a cliffhanger to end on, isn't it? The body's gonna die. There's nothing else to say about that. The body is going to die, and there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So, yeah, obviously there are ways to prevent a heart attack with outside help, but that all depends on whether or not this body is able to actually get to somebody who can resuscitate it in time. That is what the main thing is going to be. That can the body make it? Can this person make it to a place where they can be resuscitated before their body completely shuts down? That's what the final episode is likely going to build to, because that's how heart attacks work. Somebody needs to resuscitate you because your body can't do it for you. You need some outside assistance, and for first and foremost, if you don't know that you're having a heart attack, then it's likely you won't get the assistance that you need, and you'll just die on your feet. So yeah, heart attacks are very scary, very scary. So yeah, this episode isn't any incentive. This episode just kind of hammers home the entire point of this anime. Take care of your goddamn self, because if you don't, you will have a heart attack and you will die. So in any case, yeah, that's my review of Cells at Work Code Black. What do you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks, and I'm always saying thanks, so be sure to check those out in the description below as well. Also, if you want to see more videos from me, then be sure to check out the videos linked in the end screen. The top video is the most recent video. It may or may not be this one. Whereas the bottom video is the video recommended to you based on what you've already seen from me and what YouTube thinks you're going to like. So, if you guys want to see more videos from me, then either check out something new or something that you may like. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!